Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Buffalo SportsCenter video. I am Don, and today we are going to rank every single Sabres jersey in their entire catalog. I'm going to preface this by saying that the Sabres have one of the best jersey histories in the NHL. It's in the top 5 for sure, top 3 probably too, up there with the likes of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Montreal Canadiens, some of the classics like the Chicago Blackhawks, even though the Sabres have a far better logo than the Blackhawks. And even the Vancouver Canucks, I really dig their jersey history as well. But Buffalo, they are on a different level. So we're going to rank this, but let's transition over here. Oh, look at this tier maker. We got a whole thing going on here. And let's start things off by talking about the first ever jersey combos, the unis that the Sabres came out with, the 1970s Royal Blue. I'm going to use this kind of drawings here. They're more precise and less arduous to find in actual pictures. These jerseys were just unbelievable. It's a shame that they ever went away from these, and I think 100% of the Sabres fan base can call these two jerseys, especially the home whites here at the top, these are some of the best jerseys ever. And the entire 1970s for the NHL had some of the best jerseys ever. But the Sabres were certainly up there. And they go into the S category because they obviously are the best jerseys in Sabres history. They were the first ones. Now let's talk here a little bit about the 1980s. So the Sabres went with a little bit of a darker blue here. They added nameplates on the backs of these jerseys, made the numbers on the backs as well a little bit smaller. I'm really digging this darker shade of blue, and even though it's not quite up to par with the first jerseys ever in Sabres history, I'm still going to put in that S column. These are up there with the best of the best in the NHL's history. These are classics. They're just as good, if not... They're slightly worse than the OG originals, but the 80s iterations were absolutely amazing. And we're going to keep quickly going through these now. Let's talk about the 90s. So, in the early to mid-90s, the Sabres, for some strange reason, went away with the original Royal Blues as they entered new ownership under the Reguses. And they decided to change it here to a totally different color scheme now with the red, the black, the gray striping on the edge bottom there of the torso of the jersey itself. And of course, they came out with a brand new logo dubbed the Goat Head by Sabres fans everywhere. And at first, when I was younger, I really did not like this jersey. I thought it just looked weird. The Goat Head was gross. I didn't like how detailed the logo was either, and I really did not like how far away this was from almost every other jersey in Sabres history. But as I get slightly older now, even though I'm not that old, I really do dig these jerseys. These goat heads, the originals, they're amazing. I would not like them to be coming back as a regular home and away night in, night out set of jerseys, but I do like these jerseys a lot. Not as much as the Royal Blues, those. That's why these will go into the A column now. These are going to go into the A's. Not as good as the Royal Blues, but they're certainly not bad, and they would be the best jerseys in any other team's history. With those original goat heads came out the alternates to that, and these are these very different, all reds with a secondary logo. They swapped the swords, the double swords here. They are the shoulder patch on the home and away versions of these goat heads. On this third jersey here, they're the center logo with a buffalo striping right down near the bottom of the jersey. A lot less different striping here on the home and away goat heads. They're up and down here. They're side to side. And of course, the font is just the same. They added that buffalo at the bottom. I'm not loving these as much. To me, the red is a little overbearing. It's a little too in your face, and I'm not as big on this logo. I think it's a lot more basic than the goat heads or the current Sabres logo or the original. So I'm gonna put this This is I think this is going to go in a B. Borderline B. And of course, as the video goes on, I may change him if they really call for that. But for now, those alternates are going to go into the B category. And after about 10 years of this, the Sabres then transitioned away again from the Reds, the Goat Heads, these alternates. They had them only for about 10 years, which is pretty brief in my opinion. And if you look across the league, that's pretty strange to have jerseys for that little. And they decided to go with something way out of left field here with some just entirely wacky jerseys. Every Sabres fan remembers these. These are the Buffalo Slugs. Yeah. And they did bring back the original, or not the original, the 80s royal blue jerseys as an alternate. But the Buffalo Slugs, look at those. Not a big fan of these, much like the rest of the Sabres fan base. Though in recent years, this has caught on a little bit of a nostalgia. But in no way do I want these logos, these jerseys to return in any form. Absolutely no way. The Slugs, they're pathetic. I'm not loving the lettering of the names on the back of the jerseys either. The font is not cool. The aways are just not liking it. It's too clunky towards the middle of the front jerseys. And, of course, the logo, is that even really an intimidating logo? Where does the Sabres come from? I don't see a buffalo in there either. It was different. They tried to do something different with this jersey, but it really did not work out. Now, the saving grace are these alternates, but they're alternates. You don't wear them that often. You don't see them very often. And because of that, I'm going to put these here in the D category. The Slugs, not great jerseys in my opinion. Not a big fan of them. I know some people recently have gotten into them, but my opinion has not changed. As time grows, my opinion stays the same on these ones. And then, during these Buffalo Slug era, the Sabres played in the first ever Winter Classic against Pittsburgh. So I will be including these one-off jerseys, these classics, these reverse retros as well. They get included into the video. And for this Winter Classic, they came out with a really solid jersey here. I really love the white. They returned to the royal blue from the 80s. It was a darker shade. The logo is absolutely incredible. I'm loving the socks, the helmet. They don't overdo it with white. And this jersey set here does set a precedent. From this point and onwards, most Sabres one-off alternate jerseys have a white majority on it. They have a white jersey, blue pants, white socks. So a majority of the jersey is white. And I do like it. Unfortunately, now they've done it so much that I'm not too big of a fan. But when they first came out with this jersey, it looked great on the ice. It's going to look even better as time goes on. This Winter Classic jersey, in my opinion, goes into the A category. It's better than that all red majority alternates from the Goat Head era. And they're right on par, in my opinion. This may be an unpopular take, but they're right on par with that Goat Heads. Let's keep on going. The Sabres, they continued with those Buffalo Slugs right up until the early 2010s when they finally made the switch. After only a couple of seasons of wearing those, they were so unpopular, the Sabres went back to the original logo. Kind of. They went with a navy blue instead of a royal blue, much duller. It was a solid jersey. They added a lot of gray striping and piping here, especially under the armpits and right along the inner crease, just outside of these numbers and the nameplate. And then on the front, it looked like a curvy little half oval shaped, which put some people off a little bit to the whole jersey. They thought it was a little too clustered and a lot too much happening at once. I thought these jerseys were all right, but they were very dull, not too memorable. Certainly not up there with the Winter Classic, the Goat Heads, the OG Royal Blues. So I'm going to put these in the C category. They're better than the Buffalo Slugs by far, but I'm just not a big fan of the gray striping there on the sides. Now, They do get a little better here with the 40th jersey. This is when I first started watching the Sabres too, and I absolutely adore these. These jerseys are just so clean. And like the Slugs, when they try to do something different here, they did something different with the logo, but this time it actually works. The Buffalo, the cream white, I'm loving that color. I'm loving the extra texture on the numbers on the back of the jerseys, the highlighted nameplates as well. It's the right royal blue. It's that lighter shade from the 70s. And some people are a little put off by the striping at the bottom here of this front and back of the jerseys with the double stripes and two pairs of that. But I actually think it works quite well. It's a homage to the original socks from the 70s with that very tiny stripe yellow things there. And I really like these jerseys, although they're not as good as some of the other ones. I'm going to put this one into the B category along with the other alternates. And don't worry, folks, not all the alternates will be in the B. That's just, these ones are solid. They're not great, but they're not bad. They're right about in the middle, and that's what that B category is for. And now, this is the one I've been waiting to talk about. I'm sure everyone in the chat that's still already here in the video, they're waiting for me to talk about these jerseys, and that has to be, of course, the Sabres turd jerseys. They introduced these during the midst of the worst of the tank seasons, and just look at these. First time the Sabres did not have blue or white as the dominant front on their jerseys. Instead, they did something different. They took the gold and they made that a jersey of itself. And let me just say, this has to be one of the worst jerseys ever conceived of, ever thought of, ever actually created. Not only is this ugly to look at, the gray sleeves are terrible. There is just nothing here that screams unique other than that color. That shockingly just turd-looking color. That is that gold on the front. It's overbearing. It's in your face and not in a good way. They are not fun to look at. It's the wrong shade of gold as well. And in no rhyme or reason does that gold needs to be put up with that very dull looking navy blue and have those ugly sleeves. And they don't have it on in these pictures, but the captains and the assistant captains, it didn't actually say C on the actual front of the jersey. They would hide it on the shoulder of the jerseys, right where the shoulder patches would be. They would put the C or the A. Overall, these jerseys, one of the worst ever thought of, and of course, I think I can say this with great confidence, the worst in Sabres history. They go into the F column, just like those teams that wore these jerseys. I guess they were very symbolic of those times. The teams were bad and they looked bad while losing. So, yeah. After this, and they finally dropped the gray striping when Jack Eichel came to town. So they simplified the dull navy blues, made them slightly better in my opinion. They're not quite C's, they're slightly better than that now, given that they're not as crazy, they're not as hectic looking, not as clustered. They did have a little bit thinner stripes there, but not too bad. They still very bland in my opinion, but they're not bad. They're agreeable at best. So I wouldn't say that these jerseys are terrible. These go into the B column as well. They get a lot of hate because the Sabres just looked so boring wearing these. But sometimes boring is good, especially after that turd jersey and the slug jerseys. The Sabres had some simple, clean, but boring and bland navy blue jerseys there. Alright, we keep on moving now. The Sabres continue the trend of mainly white Winter Classic jerseys. They got to play in another one against the New York Rangers in 2018. Here's a Reinhardt sample of that. And this one, again, I'm liking it, but I don't love a couple things about this jersey. Number one, the logo. Not a fan of the NY in the logo. They could have just gone without that. To me, it's a little bit of a pandering to where they're playing. That time they were playing at Citi Field in New York City. Just not a fan of the whole New York thing. And I'm also not a fan of how wide the stripes are at the bottom. the gold outlined by the royal blue. I do love the royal blue color. That was awesome. I'm not a fan of that wide spacing there, especially when they played in these jerseys in regular home season games. They just didn't look quite right. They were close, but they weren't great. So because of that wide striping and the NY in the Sabres logo, I am once again going to put these jerseys in the B category here. And of course, I'm running out of space in the B's. I may have to make some room for that. I will. Let's continue on now by talking about the Sabres 50th anniversary jerseys. I remember when these were coming out, and a lot of fans were disappointed that these weren't going to be the Royal Blues. But when they announced these, it was heavily rumored that the Sabres would be going back to Royal Blue jerseys. So that made this whole jersey rollout come out a little easier. And when they first dropped, I wasn't a big fan of them, but they looked 10 times better on the ice. They looked 10 times better than I could have possibly hoped for as well. I'm not sure how it worked, but they somehow did it with this darker shade of gold here. The clean helmets as well. I love the pants. They don't show it in this picture, but the gloves too. They looked great. These jerseys looked phenomenal on the ice, and because of that, I'm going to put these in the A category. I am really liking the Sabres 50th anniversary jerseys. These go into the A. Some people I've seen put these in the B. Sometimes they put them in the C's. For me, loving those 50th anniversary jerseys, they go into the A category. And now, I mentioned it, the Sabres, when they announced those 50th anniversary jerseys, not that long after, they announced that they would be switching from the dull navy blue jerseys and going back to the original 50th, or back to the royal blue jerseys from 50 years ago, although they did have some tweaks. I do have the blue home jersey for this, and it's pretty good, but what steals the show here for me are the white away jerseys. In person, and you can see it on TV as well, they are so clean, they are fire. Same with the royal home blue jerseys. Those are also fire, but these white jerseys, amazing. They are 10 out of 10 amazing jerseys. I can't say enough praise about them. But the Blues, they drag it down a little bit, but not far enough, in my opinion. The striping as well. They actually did a gold striping at the bottom of these jerseys right this time. They added a little bit of white to it, but not too much where it looks clustered. It is the right balance between non-clustering it and too simple. There's just the right amount of everything going on in these jerseys. And the logo as well, I'll have to pull up a picture of it eventually. But the Sabres logo as well on these, they're textured. They're textured. So when you actually feel it in person, it adds to a whole new dimension of the Sabres crest logo. It's bigger on this as well than the originals, and it's textured in a way that makes it look like the Buffalo's actually moving. So these two jerseys are probably top 2 in the NHL right now, and because of that, they get to go into the S category. No amount of nostalgia or recent bias will stop me from doing that. Those are S category jerseys. They are just as good as the OG Royal Blues from the 70s. Absolutely in love with those two jerseys. What I'm not in love with as much are the reverse retros from 2021. Once again, not a big fan of that logo, the double-cross sword. I kind of do like that they did switch it back to a royal blue and golden colored, and with the white majority colored covering the jersey as well. Kind of have my words twisted there. I'm just not crazy about this jersey. When they played it, it didn't look exactly right, and I never was a big fan. It looks way better in the red, in my opinion. And because of that, I'm going to put these 2021 reverse retros down into the C category here. They go into the C category. Not as big of a fan as some people are. That may be an unpopular opinion, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys say in the comment section, which, by the way, type your reactions in there. Let's keep moving on now. Last couple of jerseys here, and we have the 2022 Heritage Classic jerseys that the Sabres wore against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And with these jerseys, the Sabres people who were behind the design didn't really push the envelope. They weren't trying too much here. They did switch the white color on the majority of the jersey. They switched that to a bit of a darker cream white that we saw on the 40th anniversary jerseys. But for some reason, it just works for me. It really does work for me. I didn't love it when I first saw it, and on the ice it didn't look great. But when you see it in person, I've seen it at a couple of stores, Macy's, JCPenney's over by the Walden Galleria. These are pretty nice. They look better in person than you would have expected. And because of that, much like a bunch of these other one-off jerseys, these are going to go into the B category. These are going to go into the B. I'm liking it a lot. I'm just going to move these over a little bit so that there is more room. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, really digging these. I'm going to put it right past the 2018 Winter Classic because I do like it a little bit more than that. So let's put that right there. Lovely math. And we got two more jerseys, folks. Keep watching. We are getting right till the end here. And we have the 2022 Sabres reverse retros. And for this felt like a missed opportunity for Buffalo. They went with an all-white Sabres goat head jerseys because of they also brought back the old goat heads, the black and the reds, which I will get to in a little bit. But here with the reverse retros, they went all white with this, and for me, there is too much white. The pants don't have to be white. The socks, they should be white. The gloves, which you don't see in this picture as well, it seems like they don't want to include gloves in these pictures, but they were also white. Way too much, in my opinion. They looked like Pee-wee make-your-own uniform kind of jerseys. Not a fan of these. A lot of Sabres fans this season also not a fan. And right when this video comes out will be after the last time the Sabres wear these jerseys. Thank goodness, because they looked horrendous. And for me, these are going to go into the D category. Not a big fan. Now, had they switched this to where there were blue pants, I would probably bump this up to the C category. But the all-white look just does not work. Way too much. White on a white ice. Makes it really tough to watch the game sometimes. It's a very annoying color combo, and it does not work. They get put next to the Buffalo Slugs. I'm that negative about them. And let's continue on now to the final jerseys here. And these ones are the ones that everyone has been talking about this season. And that is the Sabres' new alternates, the black goat heads. They finally returned to them after, oh wow, it's been how many years? Since the 90s. So the 2000s, the 10s, the 20s. We're almost 30 years past when these first debuted for the Buffalo Sabres, and they still look amazing. They did make a couple of changes to these new iteration of the goat heads. For one, the logo has been simplified a lot, which you can't tell too much in this picture, unfortunately. They did also simplify the sleeves here. They made it a little bit cleaner in my opinion. And the socks, less striping. The helmets, virtually the same. The pants as well, almost the same. They did switch up the lettering on the corner of the pants. But for me, these jerseys here, wow. They have the royal blue and the white royal whites away jerseys. Plus these goat heads make for one of these best Sabres trio of jerseys in history. And for me, this new iteration of the goat heads as well, like its predecessors, go into the A category. I'm in love with these. I would love to get my hands on them. And another cool feature, if you actually do buy a new Sabres goat head jerseys, the silver that is in the logo and on the sleeves and the striping of the jersey itself is glittered up. So it looks like a glittery silver striped jersey. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Not quite an S category jersey for me, but it is up there with some of the best in Sabres history. So we have now ranked every single jersey in Sabres history, And you can quite tell, maybe this is me being biased as a Sabres fan, but most of the jerseys this franchise has put out in its history, most of them have been really good. Outside of that turdburger jersey and the slugs and the current reverse retros for the 2022 season, they've all been good. Now, this video will see some outdatedness as we go into the future, now that the NHL seems to be doing a yearly change to the reverse retros. I wonder how quickly teams will run out of ideas for that concept, but there will certainly be more jerseys being added to this catalog in the future. I will post the link to this tier list in the description box down below. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching throughout the entirety of this video. If you stayed to this point, you get a gold sticker and my appreciation. Make sure before you guys leave, though, to hit that like button and subscribe. I was Don. This is Buffalo SportsCenter. Join the community, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.